We were sweating your arrival.
Sir?
We were sweating your other than.
Oh,
it's
boom.
It's too cold to sweat, so.
Yeah, we won't be doing that.
Okay, the big clock on the wall says 6 o'clock, so I will call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. I would like to make a change, minor change in the agenda by adding a section immediately before old business to enable comments to be made by commissioners, if that's acceptable. If I'd like then a motion to approve that with that change.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. So before we get into the agenda, I want to read something. As you may or may not recall, at the last meeting, I said this was my last meeting. And my term had ended. My term ended the end of December of last year. But I was advised by our attorney that until I was replaced, I was still on the commission. So that's why I'm here tonight, because I wanted to make sure we had a quorum for tonight's meeting. But in lieu of that, I have written a letter of resignation. This letter is to announce my resignation as Ward 4 Commissioner of the Planning and Zoning Commission of Villa Rica, effective Wednesday, January 17, 2024. I'm delaying my date of resignation so as to enable a quorum for the January 16 meeting tonight. My term as commissioner ended December 31, 2023, but due to city council neglect has not been filled, thus necessitating my resignation. At this time, it is unclear to me as to who should receive this letter, so I've sent it to a number of different people. The council discussed changing the agenda or changing the terms of the Planning and Zoning Commission, at least 3 different months. And they argued over whether it should be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. The decision was it should be 2 years, so that it terminated with each council member's term of office. I think 2 years is too short for this Planning and Zoning Commission, but be that as it may, that's what it is. But even with their discussion of this, the council has neglected to reappoint vacant positions. There are at least 2 positions, Ward 3 and Ward 4, that are still vacant. And that's at the neglect of the commissioners. They've been notified, as far as I know, that these positions are open and they should be filled. So that's why I am submitting this letter of resignations. I do not intend to continue on planning and zoning because the commission has failed, or the council has failed to do their duty. These positions should be filled upon their termination at least, or until other such issues come to be. So, my comments. Any other comments that any of the commissioners would care to make about anything?
Chairman, I'll just reiterate again from the last meeting that how appreciative I am personally of your leadership and the long-time service you've given to Villa Rica on this commission, and maybe others before I got here, so thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, David. Okay, let's move to the adoption of the minutes of the meeting. Has everybody received a copy of those minutes? And are there any changes or corrections that you would note? If not, I'll move for approval of these minutes.
Move we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, the next item on business is reorganization of the Board of Commissioners. I make a motion to approve David Rogers as the chair and Ashley Head as the vice chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission for 2024. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Mr. Rogers?
Hold on, you're still. Okay, we need two separate votes.
For each position.
Oh,
For each
okay,
position.
okay. So we need another motion for vice chair?
I'll make a motion that Ashley be appointed vice chair.
I second. All in favor? Okay.
I think you
Yours.
still carry us through the meeting. It doesn't matter.
I'm ready.
At your pleasure.
I'm ready to
Chairman,
step down.
Vice Chairman.
Well, I'll continue, but again,
Thank you.
my last hurrah. Okay. Adoption of the 2024 Planning and Zoning Schedule. You have each received copies of the suggested schedules for all of the, both the P and Z as well as the council. Is there any comment to be made on this, or may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Okay, so you have a schedule.
We've got something from the staff.
Yeah, just, everything is correct on the planning commission meeting and schedules and the council meetings. The only thing that's not updated on this sheet was the city council submittal deadlines. It didn't roll over correctly, but everything that has to do with everything else was correct.
Okay. Well, the only one that really concerns us is the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, so that's okay. All right. My agenda. Okay, staff, the next item is the RA 0623 item. So,
Good evening, Commission. Applicant R N Deed LLC is requesting to rezone a .586 acre property located at Rockmart Road to add an additional single-family residential unit to a planned unit development in the Reed Plantation neighborhood. The rezoning would permit the HOA structure of the property, which is currently utilized as a community clubhouse, to be used and occupied as a single-family residence. Currently, the property does not feature a garage, and the applicant is proposing to install a pad for parking off of the existing parking lot of the community's amenities. By increasing the unit count by one, the community will lose approximately a half acre of open space and lose an amenity. Based on our analysis, we recommend that the Planning and Zoning Commission to deny the rezoning request submitted by RND LLC. Based on there will be a reduction in open space that cannot be remedied. Being that it's no garage, the parking facility for the new use does not fit the rest of the neighborhood's characteristics. Parking facilities, entrance and exit will be shared between the community amenities and proposed use. There's a general concern that the relationship can be altered in the future. And lastly, the planned unit development will have one less amenity and less open space. Should the commission approve the application, the staff has made conditions.
and they are?
There are 5 conditions. First, the new amenities shall be constructed on the HOA-owned property to fulfill the obligation for 3 amenities. Staff shall have a discretion in the proposed location. Second, a detached 2-car garage shall be installed in place of the parking pad along the driveway. That is at least 35 feet in length. Third, the entirety of the HOA parking lot shall be recombined with the HOA property. The driveway and garage for the proposed unit shall be placed along the pathway for amenities use. And
As I understand it, this is not a zoning or a rezoning change. This is merely taking a change in the HOA amenity and converting it to a residential facility. Is that not true?
yes, sir.
Why is this even coming before planning and zoning?
It is going to be cut from planning and zoning because
Alteration to PUD.
It is a
Yes.
PUD alteration, which is a zoning. PUD is a zoning, so they're trying to rezone the PUD zoning and take away an amenity that has always been a requirement of that PUD zoning.
Well, it didn't affect Mirror Lake. They took over their community facility and left Mirror Lake without an amenity. Not converting it to a property, but converting it to office space. Well, at any rate, is the applicant here?
Yes.
Okay. Before you come, is there any comments that the commission would like to make to administration?
Not just yet.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Ashley.
Was the house and land designated as an amenity in the zoning conditions on the final plat?
yes, it was.
Okay.
Any other comments? Okay, then we'd ask the applicant to come forward. Give us your name and address and
Sure. My name is Benjamin Martin, and I work for NRD LLC. Just a brief history on this property. I believe it was built prior to the actual community. As you can see, it sits on the corner. The HOA has signed an agreement with us to allow this property to be returned to a single-family residence. The pad would be installed on the existing lot, and in exchange for that, the way it was set up, this house actually controls some of the parking with the new HOA clubhouse, and we agreed to return that in exchange for them allowing us to basically install a parking pad in lieu of a garage. The HOA, they stopped paying taxes on the property. We actually acquired it via a tax foreclosure. It fell into a state of disrepair. They basically asked us, hey, can you guys go ahead and replace some siding, do some roofing repairs, do this, that, and the other. We agreed to go ahead and do those with the hope that the zoning committee would allow us to then move forward and turn this back into a single-family residence. Quite frankly, if that doesn't happen, then it's not being used by the community, and it will probably fall back into a state of disrepair.
so the HOA does have an amenity, a clubhouse available that they've,
Yes, on there you can see you see the tennis courts and the building beside with the parking there. So that's what's currently being used.
so they are not losing an amenity then?
Yes, they weren't. If this was an amenity, it was not being used by the community.
Okay, okay. Now,
Is that where it says clubhouse, is that not the house?
The house is,
Where it says clubhouse?
so,
Yeah, where it says clubhouse.
where it says clubhouse, yes.
Yes.
So you've actually got the pool, bathhouse right there, and the tennis courts. The clubhouse is not,
But you're saying there's a new clubhouse.
it's
so
not,
where's
I'm
that?
saying that the clubhouse is not connected to the pool and/or.
There is not a
The clubhouse is not connected, correct. The clubhouse is not connected to the pool or tennis courts, is what I was trying to say.
Okay. So they do not have a clubhouse in their amenities?
Correct. Sorry.
They have one, they don't have one? Where we at?
They do not
They
have
do
one.
not have.
Okay, so the clubhouse that the proposed property was supposed to be their clubhouse. That was the intent when the PUD was approved, and you're telling us now that they're not going to have a clubhouse.
I'm saying that the HOA did not pay any taxes on this.
Understood. Understand.
And that they have signed off on, their board has signed off on basically the intended use.
Do we have that agreement that we could?
Yes. So this is both the settlement agreement between the two parties, and then here's the final order from the quiet title action.
But that was just a quiet title, that doesn't,
Well,
that's not them agreeing.
It specifically references the, it references that agreement
Okay.
in the action.
You warm? Is it everybody warm in here? Is it just me?
No, it's warm.
Where? Tracy, we got.
Yeah, I can turn,
You turn that down if you don't mind, sir. Thank you. Wherever everyone's comfortable. Thank you.
Now,
Peeling off the layers here in a minute.
what is your role relative to this change? Tonight, you're not moving into this property. You're not.
Correct. No, we would be renovated and selling it to an end user.
So now, is the property then outside, so you're wanting to take this outside of Reed Plantation, or is it gonna remain part of?
It would still be part of Reed Plantation.
So they would still collect HOA dues off of
Correct.
the property that was designated to the homeowners when they bought their properties?
Yes.
Interesting.
It would basically just be another single-family unit in the
And
community.
what historical value do you feel like there is with that property? Do you know what year it was built?
It was built in, I believe, I want to say 1905, so it's an old structure.
And if I'm not mistaken, and I think we'd have to go back to when Reed Plantation was put together and proposed, but part of the preservation effort for the property that you have before us was an agreement with the developer, Reed Plantation, to keep that property as a preservation effort. Now, I don't know that it falls under any sort of certificate of appropriateness or not, being the way that it was put in with Reed Plantation. But that's my concern, is that you've got what years ago was a preservation effort to some degree, wrapped up in the subdivision. And now, and additionally, if I lived in Reed Plantation and I had purchased my home in there prior to this, I would be expecting part of the return. Now, that might be a problem between the homeowner and the HOA, given the tax situation, but those are my concerns and questions.
Are there any other comments from the commissioners?
How long have you owned the property?
The tax deed was purchased, well, if you see the final order there.
Was it 2005?
No, it was, let's see the date on the final order. So that's August.
2022?
22? Approximately 20-ish.
2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a question for the city attorney. So whose responsibility does this fall under? Like he's mentioned, the state of repair. Is it going to be the HOA? Is it going to be the deed holder? Where are we at in that situation if there's a tax repo on the?
Well, it's not the cities. So it would be the property owner, and ultimately the HOA. I'm looking at the original plat that was approved, and that was specifically designated as to be used initially as the sales center and then the clubhouse for the community.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have a question.
Yes, Skinner?
Did the HOA give you an explanation why they didn't pay the tax fee?
No, yeah, I mean, basically, it didn't look like the property had been used in several years. I can't speak, I don't live in the community, so if there's somebody else who does and has better knowledge on that. But
Not at this time. We'll have an open hearing in a minute. So,
But the HOA has, they've since come to us and said, hey, we'd like you to replace the roof and do this and this.
But as an owner, that would be your obligation anyways.
Correct. As the owner, there would also be an expectation, hopefully, that, we'd be able to put the property to use as well. And that's,
any other questions for the applicant? If not, I'd like to open the session to public comments on this particular item. Anybody speaking for or against approval, come forward, give us your name and address, make your comments. You have 3 minutes.
I wrote it on the sheet.
I don't have that sheet.
Oh, okay. My name's Ed Chambers. I live in Reed Plantation. And, well, I actually have a bunch of questions. I called the number at the bottom of this letter twice, left messages and to get some clarification, and nobody called me back. And I hate to take up my 3 minutes with pretty basic questions, but the reason that I'm not in favor of that property becoming part of the PUD is that that property pretty well takes the P out of PUD. If you're looking at a planned community, if you've ever been to Reed Plantation, there's a similarity in the architecture. That building, which up until about 6 months ago looked like a derelict behemoth, does not fit architecturally with the rest of the community. So I'm not really certain what the HOA's interest is in having that thing join the PUD other than getting money from it on an annual basis. But there are certain rules, most of which everybody has to live by in the community, but apparently that building wouldn't have to live by it because it doesn't look like it, or it's not shaped like it. Other than having walls and a roof, it bears no similarity to the rest of the community. I don't understand why the HOA, other than wanting their extra $440 or whatever it is a year out of them. As far as this, the lot is concerned, I'm also wondering to what extent the property that is now part of the parking lot and a tot lot for the community has, since the inception of the community, has been used exclusively by the community, not by anyone at that structure. Has the community established an easement on that portion of the property? Now, as far as the use of that is concerned, they're absolutely right. This thing hasn't been used, as far as I know. I didn't move in till early 2011. When I moved in, the only thing I remember occurring at that building was that for a couple of years, they had a Santa Claus picture session on the back porch in December. That was it. So anytime, I don't know if anybody ever went inside, but after that, the building fell into a state of disuse, and it was actually a danger. Besides it looking pretty bad with the paint chipping off, what was it, 5-6 years ago, a tree, a very large tree, next to the house, fell over against the house, broke windows, cracked the chimney, put a hole in the ceiling, and did I mention broke some windows? And it was like that for a couple of months before it got fixed. And then about 6-8 months ago, somebody started putting bucks into that building. They kind of messed around with the ceiling, the roof. I don't know what's been going on inside, but at least they've cleaned it up a little bit on the outside. But the bottom line for me as a person who has to live under the rules of the homeowners association. I don't want some building that doesn't look anything like that, like the rest of the houses, becoming part of the community. It just doesn't make sense. Plus, if we give up part of the parking lot and the tot lot, what are we going to get in exchange for that? There doesn't seem to be any exchange of value here, because I think that an argument could be made that we've got an easement for that now, since nobody else has used it other than the community. So, that was more than 3 minutes. Sorry about that.
Thank you for your input. Anybody else wishing to speak for or against this particular item? Yes, sir, come forward and give us your name and address.
Good evening. My name is James Nolan. I live on Reed Plantation Drive. I've been there for 19 years, me and my wife and family. When we first moved in there, speaking to the developers, we were specifically told that was going to be our clubhouse. And if anyone now, unless it's been changed in the last few years, but originally when you would go in the front door of that house, we bought our house there. The developers used that house as an office, but we were told as soon as their completion their operation was complete, it'd be ours to use as the clubhouse. All right, and if you walked in the front door there, unless someone has taken it out or moved it or whatever the case may be, it was put there for a conservation effort. After you go in the front door, there's a little mirrored table off to the right-hand side there with the pictures and the history of the original owners of that house. Matter of fact, it even goes back to the businesses they owned here in Villa Rica back in the early 1900s. There was at one time a plaque on the front of the house stating when it was built. But we've been there for 19 years, and I was on the board a few years back. And when that house fell back in back taxes and was fixing to be bid off on courthouse steps in Carrollton, we bid on that house. But the current residents who have it now outbid us. But we have been maintaining that lot. We even spent thousands of dollars. A few years back, a big tree fell on it. We, as HOA, as a board, removed that tree off that house and out of the road at our expense. And to my knowledge, we've never been reimbursed for that. But we maintained that lot and those grounds faithfully, year after year after year after year. And that should remain ours, in my opinion. Like I said, we've got a very nice, respectful neighborhood there. And to take away our ability to have control over this house is like taking a part of ourselves away, because that house represents our entire subdivision, our neighborhoods. That is who we are. And I'm asking you, please don't take it away from us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Anybody else wishing to speak for or against this proposal? I see none, so.
We got one.
We do.
Thank you.
Your name and address?
Stephanie Warmoth, 911 Elderberry Lane. The only thing I'd like to do right now is just to clarify exactly why this home went into auction for the unpaid taxes. The builder was supposed to deed this home over to us once building was complete. The builder died unexpectedly, and that's where things kind of went sideways on the back taxes. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
My name is Daniel Ephraim. I'm at 621 Hemlock, and again, I've been there since 2005. And it was my understanding also when we moved in, is that that property was a part of the community and it was supposed to be a clubhouse. And from my understanding, I was told that there was some discrepancy between the owner and the HOA. And as of now, I'm trying to ascertain basically what is going on with it.
Thank you. That's everybody that was on the sign-up sheet. Is there any further comment? I'll close these public hearings then. Revert back to staff. So staff recommendation is denial.
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions for the staff? What happens if this is denied? What happens to this property?
We actually have some conditions if it's denied, or, excuse me.
Conditions if it was approved?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If it is denied, then it will be based off of what the HOA will want to do with it.
Okay. Any further comments or questions by the commissioner? Yes, sir.
Member of the public here.
Kendrick had a question.
Can you reiterate that to the applicant? Because he's a little confused about that answer.
Well, this property was purchased as, anyone that purchased this property would have had noticed this was a clubhouse and is on public record as being an amenity to a PUD. Mm-hmm. So if they purchased it, they should know what they were purchasing.
So should we be renting it back to the HOA in such a circumstance? I'm just...
Any further discussion or comments? I will entertain a motion.
I got one for staff. Have you guys been in contact with HOA at all?
Not recently, no.
When was the last meeting that you guys knew was held? Because what are their thoughts on this whole process?
Well, me personally, I haven't talked to anybody from HOA right now. We actually had somebody who used to work here who actually was in conversation with them. Now, but to my knowledge, nobody's reached out to us, and I haven't reached out to anybody from.
Stacy, did you have a comment?
I was just going to say, as far as, I think you was a former HOA member, right, board member? Correct. So looking, when we look at this, and I know the applicant here has purchased this property, but on due diligence side of this, it is final platted as a clubhouse. He bought a clubhouse, right? Which to me, that's why we're recommending denial, because it would alter this PUD to the point that the people that bought in here to have a nice clubhouse as kind of an older historical house as a clubhouse, to me are getting shited here. And I feel for the applicant, but on the same side, when you do your due diligence, you're like, why am I going to buy a clubhouse that I can't use for anything else but a clubhouse? So that's our position on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
No, you had your chance to address. I'll entertain a motion. I move that we deny this applicant. Is there a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded for denial. Discussion?
So my thoughts are, I'm with you. I'm with you guys on thinking that what's going to happen, that's a concern. What was supposed to happen, that's a bigger concern for the residents and the homeowners that are there. And then also, like every other HOA, I'm sure people in that neighborhood have received letters of compliance for issues on their property that are on the front property, so why are we gonna change? Yeah, that's just a problem for me, that's creating a double standard, with the applicant's, application here, so.
Understand. Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion to deny. All in favor? 4-0. Okay. Okay, back to staff. Item number 4, text amendment to eliminate maximum parking in zoning ordinance.
Yes. Staff is advocating for a crucial text amendment that aims to remove the maximum parking restrictions from specific sections of our Villa Rica zoning ordinance. In particular, sections 7.02, subsection 4, paragraph C, 7.02, subsection 26, paragraph A, 7.04, subsection 6, paragraph C, paragraph I, and 9.04 subsection 4. Our city's growth and economic development are at the forefront of this proposal. By eliminating the limitations, we aspire to create an environment that nurtures adaptability for businesses. The focus is on introducing greater flexibility in parking regulations, allowing us to cater to diverse needs and foster more dynamic and accessible community. The strategic adjustments we propose is not just about altering rules, it's about facilitating local growth, attracting new enterprises, and contributing to the creation of a vibrant business community. We believe that by lifting the undue constraints imposed by parking limitations, we can encourage the establishment of various businesses, ultimately enticing the overall economic landscape of Villa Rica. I urge you to consider the long-term benefits of this text amendment as we work towards a more prosperous and accommodating city for both current and future businesses.
Thank you. Comments?
Can you give me an example of like a business that this would benefit?
Yes, recently we're actually having Tanner Medical right off of Mirror Lake Boulevard. They're actually trying to actually have a variance for the upcoming council meeting for a lot that's actually on 100 Courts Drive. And I mean, I don't know if any of y'all actually have been to Tanner recently, but the parking lot is full. It's full. So then for them to actually add more medical staff actually coming onto the premises, they'll actually have to have more parking. So as right now, we don't have any transportation in Villa Rica, so it's like it's a strain on the staff to actually find parking, even for right now. So that's why that's pretty a recent example.
Any further comments or discussion? Okay, I don't think this requires a public hearing. What's the staff recommendation?
It is a zoning change.
I'm sorry?
It is a zoning amendment, so it requires a public hearing.
Okay. We'll open up to public hearing then. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this zoning change for parking? I see none, so we'll close public hearing. And I'll entertain a motion from the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the text amendment for the parking.
Is there a second? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. That's all the items on the new business. Any further things that the administration and staff has? If not, I'll open to public comments. Does anybody wish to speak to the commissioners? Tracy?
I just want to say again, we thank you for all your service that you've done for Villa Rica over the years, and it's you've done a great service here, and it's been an honor to work with you.
Thank you very much. Okay, no other comments. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? We are done. Renee, here's the sign-up sheet. It's all yours, Paul.
Hey, we just had to get a little bit, that last little bit of free work out of you, Mr. Chairman, tonight.